My official stance is I don't care. The method, it matters in that, like, we can take away from or distract from what God is wanting to do, certainly. So I think the method matters in that regard. But in the same way that I could be the pastor of a little church up in the mountains of East Tennessee, or I could be the front man of a hardcore band playing in a sold-out show in Los Angeles, it's the same message that permeates the movement. And so if you have got a mega church with 30,000 people in it and lasers and fog machines and just world-class production, but your central message is the gospel of the kingdom, then come on, more power to you. That's beautiful. If you're a local church that has been in the same building for the last 30 years and have never had more than 100 people in your congregation, and your main message is and you don't have any production, it's just the preacher preaching and his wife playing piano and leading worship by herself,
like sun on the triangle,
and and those churches are holy too. It's a beautiful thing, as long as their central message is the message of the gospel of the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so I think we treat methodologies like they themselves are sacred, and they're not. God is sacred. And so what works about, for example, Rick Warren, pastor Saddleback Church, one of the biggest churches in the country, incredibly influential, and just massive church. What works for Rick Warren because he's being obedient to what God called him to do. Now, if I try to be obedient to what God called Rick Warren to do, it's not going to work for me. I could emulate his methods and strategies, but the thing that works so well about Rick Warren is that it's birthed from obedience, from a genuine desire to honor what he knows God has called him to do. It's his authenticity that makes his ministry impactful. Now, on the other side of the same coin, I was sort of raised in the ministry by a spiritual father down in Mobile, Alabama, that has pastored the same church for 33 years now, and I don't think the church has ever been more than 200 people. And his kids are on staff. He's just a faithful man of God who's just walking the path one step at a time, and he's training up young men and raising up disciples and sending them out, and he's just an amazing, faithful man of God whose world looks totally different than Rick Warren's. His teaching sounds totally different than Rick Warren's. His methods and his approaches are totally different than Rick Warren's. And yet my spiritual father would tell me, Mattie, you can't answer God's call on my life. You need to answer God's call for your life. And I think that's the thing that we have to understand, is that the system or the methodology it's not holy. It's not any more holy than the plate that brings your food. Nobody really cares what kind of plate the food comes on. They're after the food itself. And so I don't really care about what kind of plate the food comes on, as long as the food gets to me. Like, that's that's the important thing.
As long as it's not made of like those paper straws that like dissolve.
As long as it's not those. That's the worst. Absolute deal breaker. Yeah. There's a few churches that are like paper straws, but we won't.
Okay.
They fall apart. They fall apart under the weight of the message. But I think there's like this, this sort of obsession with what method is best, and frankly, I think it's whatever method God calls you to. As long as the message stays central and Jesus is king in your church, then I think you're fine. Now for us at the altar, the church that I pastor, and maybe it's an overcompensation from having been a performer for 10 years, but we're sort of real low key. And I sort of half jokingly said to our congregation a couple months ago, I'm trying to figure out how we can change the world without letting our church get any bigger.
I love
we
that.
want to, I'm thankful for the people that God has sent us, and there's more people, it feels like, moving into the city to join the church every week, but we are we've got an awesome community of amazing people, and I'm having so much fun getting to know them and walking through life together. But our church, we've got some Edison lights around, and it's not big on production. It's we really just emphasize family, and we're trying to build an environment that is conducive to family time, letting our kids dance and worship with us and be free. explore what God's presence is like. And, so we don't have any fog machines or lasers or anything like that. And I think that's what's right for us.
Yeah.
But churches that have that stuff, I love them and bless them. And I hope that they succeed at everything God's called them to.
Hey y'all, we hope you loved this conversation. Here at Young Married Christian, we are on a mission to see a gospel-centered home made available for every single child in the foster care system. There are 400,000 kids in the foster care system, and there are 400,000 churches in America. Wow, that is crazy. This is absolutely a solvable problem, and we want to be a part of it. If you want to join us in that mission, text the word freedom to 833-370-1610.
833-370-1610. 833-370-1610.
I just did it.
And another thing you can do that is really helpful is to smash the like button on this video.
Smash it like Satan's face. Crush it like it's Lucifer's head.
It really helps us a ton, so smash that like button, subscribe to this channel.
That's it.
Smash the like button on this video.